for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's good guys, VenMFire here, back in the video, and today we bring you guys another run offense. And this one's going to be one of the more popular ones that you see online. Not a whole lot of people run the ball these days, but this one's going to be good because you can audible from a really good passing formation into this. You mainly see it in the red zone from pro players and things like that. But you can definitely mix it in short yardage situations, or if they're in a 1-4-6 defense, a 3-3-5 normal, you can definitely audible down, and it's a very good option in my opinion. The formation I'm talking about is going to be the single back wide trips out of the Las Vegas Raiders playbook. I think it's also in Jets playbook and some other ones. Don't quote me on that though, but yeah, mainly it's going to be combined of these two runs, which are the Power Alert X Lookie in the middle there, and then the 0-1 Trap in the middle of there. Now there's also a couple of decent other passes I'm going to talk about that include this Salem play and then PA zone shots. We have some good passing options, just a simple 4-play scheme. Again, you're not going to want to audible down every single play, but what I'm going to show is just audibling from trips tight end down to the single back wide trips. Now, also before we get into the video, make sure you guys do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20K subscribers, so if you're new, you're enjoying the content, go ahead, hit that sub button. But yeah, moving on. So just put your best running back in. I want Nick Chubb instead of Kareem Hunt, so we're going to do that. There is one kind of small, tricky part of this. If I know I'm going to audible down, I'm actually going to have to come out with my trips on the short side. Because if you see, this would be our wide trips. It's the same thing as this, and you see how the trips is on the opposite side of the trips tight end. So since I want my trips on the wide side, I'm going to come out with my trips tight end on the short side of the field. Again, we're just going to run those 4 plays. I'll mix in some man coverage and zone coverage as far as the passing game goes, but here you see again, you're just going to audible down. Now, if you don't know how to audible, if you're kind of new to this system, you're just going to press X or square on PlayStation, and then just push your D-pad to the left just a couple of times. I think you're going to have to do it about 4. We'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 4 times, and then you see I have all 4 of my plays I want. And yeah, we're going to start out with just the 0-1 Trap here. As you see, it's not a super clean audibling system, but it is relatively fast in the motion's over, and it's still going to be difficult to, completely set up a defense. But you see right there, first play, this 0-1 Trap, very, very solid run. 2 of the most popular runs in this year's game are going to be a Power O and an 0-1 Trap, so it's fitting that you can easily audible to some of these. The main difference between this and like an I-form close is that I can still keep my 3 wide receivers on the field and still have a very good running option, whereas if I wanted to audible to I-form close, I'm going to have 1 running back in at wide receiver, which will hurt your game. But there you see again, this Power O, very solid, even though we did get shedded. That was some bad run stick here. It is still a very good option again. And obviously, if I want to, let's say I'm thinking about audibling down, maybe I don't, you can always flip the trips. It's not too big of a deal from that standpoint. Again, I'll just show the audibling a couple more times, and then I'll just move on coming out on the play, so I don't have to waste your guys' time audibling every time. But I just wanted to show it. Here you see just the blocks developing really good. We're picking up about 10 to 15 yards every single play before contact, and just able to run him over. But yeah, with that being said, I'm just going to come out in wide trips so we don't have to audible every time. Now that we're just in the wide trips, I can run this a lot more, just kind of show the consistencies of it. Very solid 0-1 Trap. You can definitely do some things to open it up even more. One of those would be to use motion, because in the passing game, we're going to use some motion. Now, when you're passing the ball, something I like to do out of the wide trips, just to maximize it, is they have these little cool motions where you can actually motion them in and then kind of snap the ball. Unfortunately, you can't really do that in the run game, but you can just motion him across. It's just going to create a bigger hole on that right-hand side. As you see, for whatever reason, the corner that was actually manned up to Jarvis Landry there actually ended up running straight up the field. Kind of a weird animation there, as you saw. Here I accidentally audibled to the Power Alert Lookie, which we'll go over next. But I'll show this 0-1 Trap one more time. Again, you can use some audibles, things like that. But overall, just a very solid run, especially if people compact the middle. You see, you can take an outside angle, or I can just leave it up the middle just like that. So very solid option. Very good run play, especially if you were in a 3rd and 1. You audible from trips down to this. It's going to be money. Trust me, I run it myself. So moving on to our next run, you kind of saw a little sneak peek. It's going to be this Power Alert X Bubble now, or Lookie, excuse me there. The biggest problem with this is going to be being able to throw that little RPO against man coverage. You're not really going to be able to do it, especially if they're not shaded over the top. Just take a look at Rashard Higgins on this one. He's just going to get jammed at the line of scrimmage. That I cannot throw that ball. The power row is pretty similar to the 0-1 trap in the standpoint that you do have a pulling guard just to the opposite side. But it really does create a big gap as well. Now, that was some bad stick. And with a slower O-line, you're going to have to be a little bit more patient. That was not very patient running, so I'm just going to kind of hand it off. I wait for my blocks to develop. Bad stick work there, but you see how the hole develops to the left, and I could cut it back up the middle, actually. Again, here, we will just cut it back against the grain, and you see just really good blocks developing. Let's go to zone coverage just to show what it would look like against zone. Here, I'm going to throw the bubble. Now, since I have a hook curl zone there with Shaq Thompson, basically, if I'm going to throw the slant, I'm going to have to kind of snap throw it like this. Now, I can still complete that every single time, basically, but you do want to be careful because you don't want to get jumped. You don't want to get lurked with the user as well. More times than not, the user is going to have to actually end up defending this power O just because of how good it is. They're going to need that extra guy. So more times than not, he's not going to end up lurking on that slant route, if I had to guess. And that is pretty positive for you. But you see that just the blocks develop really, really well. Very difficult to stop this run with any particular run defense other than, spying your safeties, just completely selling out on it. And even if you do, it's still not guaranteed. Here, we're going to cut it to the outside, hit him with a little bit of a spin move. And you see overall just very successful. Even against, jam man-to-man, we have receivers getting shedded. We're still able to pick up these big yardage situations, which is exactly what you want in a run scheme. As well as this one, I could technically motion him over if I want to. I don't see too big of a benefit in this one, just because more times than not, you're either cutting it right, which would create another guy that could potentially get shedded. But you still could do it. And if you want to confuse him a little bit, that's certainly an option for you guys. With that being said, though, let's go ahead and move into our pass plays. Now, I don't have a whole lot of setups. Really, you shouldn't be looking too much to pass the ball out of these formations or these situations. But if you had to, if you wanted to catch him off guard, I got a couple of good setups. And we're going to start out with the Salem play. Taking a look at our player, we got some unique routes here. And I like to actually keep the majority of these routes. Because you see we have a stock table route, but it's actually going to the short side, which is something you couldn't do if you had Hot Route Master. If I had Hot Route Master and I put Nick Chubb on a flat route, he would go to the left. So it creates some unique options, some unique routes. Another route I like is Odell Beckham Jr., specifically against man coverage. You see he's going to be manned up with Dante Jackson, 96 speed, over there on that left-hand side, and he still should get separation. Now, he is a better receiver, but it's just a little weird, almost post-route, in-route combination, I would say. Higgins can get open if it's press shade over the top, but sometimes press jam gives that little C route, out route a little bit of trouble. And then we have Jarvis Landry, which is the player we're going to be hot routing now. For our first play, I'm just going to put him on a drag and motion him across the formation. Now I could put him on a drag or a slant or a hitch, which you'll see against zone. But you see, he's going to get open there. If your opponent is running man coverage, I recommend putting him on that slant a little bit better than the drag per se. You can also keep all these other routes the same. The flat route's not really going to get open, but here the slant gets a lot of separation. Odell Beckham Jr. gets some good separation on that as well. The only kind of problem I have with this type of route combo with the slant to in route is that sometimes I feel like they kind of run into each other. So if that's a little bit of an issue, you could certainly go with something else. Let's audible to zone coverage here. I kind of showed the drag, the slant. Another option I like is to just put him on a manual hitch and then motion him kind of over like this. Just creates a decent spacing concept. You have a flat, you have an out route, and look how open Nick Chubb is. That was a very, very late pass by me. But it just gives you some good options. And I am on the short side of the field, so you have to throw that table out pretty quickly. I'll show that again here. You also have that tight end streak that they kind of got to pay attention to. Here I'll audible, so I'll just wait for him to get over. Snap the ball, and you see I can easily lowball Jarvis Landry as well. He's in a pretty good spot to make that catch per se. It just gives you some good options. I'll show the drag route combination against zone, and we'll see if we can either fit the in route in or the drag route. Again, you'll see the table route's going to be open majority of the time. That's an easy check down if I wanted to. Can check down to Jarvis Landry. That was a late pass as well. But overall, it's a pretty solid play, especially when you're expecting run and you can get some of these unique routes. they can have a big difference on them. But let's move into our last play, which will be PA zone shot. I do prefer this play against zone coverage, so I'm going to kind of sit in that the majority of the time. I mean, against man, things can get open, but this crosser is not super effective necessarily against man coverage, so really it would come down to the deep dig and the in route, or the post route, which would not be as effective. Moving on to my favorite route combo out of this, it's just going to be to wheel your running back. You see he's going to go on that wide side of the field, become a shorter wheel, and he's going to kill zone coverage with the pass lead inside. You're going to throw Odell on a little out route to maximize Nick Chubb's route. Then the last thing you do is drag A, and you can also smart route B. See, I smart route him, now he's shorter, just like this. So that's our first way to run it. Let's throw it to Nick Chubb, step up in the pocket, and just look how much space he has. 15, almost 20 yards before we actually get hit by the nearest defender. I'll go ahead and show that route combo again for you guys. It's just to wheel your running back, throw X on a little out route, drag your tight end, and smart route B. Just gives you a lot of options. Now, the crosser's not my favorite. If you had Hot Route Master, you could put him on either a post or a crosser and get better success if you ask me. I'll just show it again here, and you see he does get separation, so that's a throwable football, easy completion there against man coverage, but it wouldn't be my first choice. Now, as far as creating some unique route combinations, I'll show you some of the ideas that I might have had for this. Maybe I like wheel Y. Usually for this, I like to keep at least Odell and Nick Chubb on their same routes, but maybe I curl A, put RB on like a little backside out route or flat route, and then I can kind of quick snap that. But this is just kind of a unique route combo that could have success. You see how those inside backers are going to be pulled in by Austin Hooper there. It's just a little weird, unique route combo that can have success. I'll show it again here. Wheel Y, out X, curl A, and flat RB, smart route B as well. So not necessarily against man coverage, but against zone. I could kind of quick snap, throw that flat route, bad animation there, but that's something you can do. Overall, you can do a lot with this. Don't make it your main focus of an offense. I wouldn't build an entire scheme around it, but if you can combine this with trips tight end, bunch tight end in Raiders playbook, you have bunch tight end, trips tight end, and then short yard situations. You can audible to something like this and pose a threat. I think it makes your game a lot better on the offensive side of the ball. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more, and peace. I'm out of here.